first and foremost, I want to thank Jeff for putting this all together. Jeff, you're the man. The Alumni Association, actives right now, guys involved in the fraternity currently. When you do cross the line, get involved with the alumni. It's so big and just moving forward with your career, your life, your relationships. I'm going to get into all of that. And I know there's a lot of other people that probably were more qualified to speak to me than me tonight. So I appreciate it, but I get it just because, I can definitely relate to some people. Also, want to give a shout out to Jimmy D. You're a legend. I appreciate you, and the fraternity loves you for everything that you do. So let's get to it. So my name is Brandon Greenplate, bond number 949, graduated in 2018. I was a business management and entrepreneurship major at Clemson University, and recently got into prestigious club 30 under 30. So I'm a realtor down here on the island, and I'm going to kind of get into all of that stuff, but I kind of just want to start with where my life is today. So I'm building my real estate empire. I've been in the game about 4 or 5 years, and it has been going very, very well. I'm going to get into kind of the nitty gritty of it. And I'm living down here on Hilton Head Island, just north of Savannah, Georgia, and a really cool place to call home. I'm having a lot of fun here too. So let's get into it. So growing up, I was originally born in York, Pennsylvania, 1996, graduated high school from there. From an early age, I played a lot of competitive golf. So I was always really getting into, the competitive spirit, all that kind of stuff. Played college golf freshman year,
quiet right now.
Poker college, and wound up transferring to Clemson in 2014. Thank God, because I probably would not have got in if I went right out of high school. I've always been very entrepreneurial. I've always, kind of pushed the limits and really stepped outside of the box. I think I look at things differently in just a different shed of light. In 2018, I graduated and went into real estate full-time down in Hilton Head. I'll kind of get into that a little bit more. So that's just a little bit of background from me. I'm from the North, living in Hilton Head, loving my life. All right, so getting into the 5 points, I really thought, hard on this stuff as far as how can I relate to multiple audiences, the actives, as well as alumni of all age ranges. And getting into real estate and actually kind of going through the whole Clemson experience, it was unbelievable. And one thing that really kind of stuck out to me as far as Clemson goes. So when I got there, I pledged fall 15 and, loved the fraternity, but thought there were some things that could be done better. Instead of getting drunk and not inviting girls over, I was like, where are all the girls, right? So I really had this experience of rubbing some people the wrong way, which I'll get into on the next slide. But it all comes down to culture and organization, culture and success, and, not really getting afraid of changing the norm. So while I was at Clemson, I was a business management entrepreneurship major, like I said, very involved in the fraternity, social chair, vice president. I think I rehearsed my social chair speech probably 100 times. You can ask one of my roommates like Chris Chapman. I was obsessed with it, right? I was obsessed with this vision, this culture shift, but I loved the guys, loved my pledge class, loved everything that we had, but just thought we could do it in a different way, in a different light. For the younger guys that I don't know, you might have heard of a party called Woodstock back in the day. When we lost our downtown house, I knew we needed to save the stage. So I got a U-Haul, got a generator, dropped the stage in the valley of the lodge, themed at Woodstock, 3 bands, food truck, and the rest is history. So glad that's still going on, and glad all that money's going to a great cause. Something I really take pride in. So again, while I was at Clemson at Fideout, there were some things that rubbed me wrong, and I pissed people off, right? And looking back on it, I pissed the people off that were so stuck in their ways of just, this is how it is. It's not going to change. And I pressed the norm. I challenged it. And something that I really stand strong on is just, I had passion for it. Like I was eat, sleeping, breathing fraternity life. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be a part of everything. I wanted to shake everything up, and it might have got me in trouble at some times, but at the same time, it really kind of shaped my outlook when I graduated from college. When you graduate and when you're getting into the real world, you get thrown into these different organizational cultures. You get thrown into these different businesses and careers. And, it's very important, in my opinion, to make sure that you are knowing and understanding what culture you want to be surrounded by. So a good example of culture is Clemson University. I mean, you guys, we all know, you walk around that university, and I blindly transferred to Clemson, actually, as
That's great though.
out of Coker. So the Clemson culture, walking around there, it's unbelievable. That is the standard for culture.
Hey, Brandon, do you mind? You got host. Can you mute Aiden and Jim, please? Sorry.
Mute.
There's Aiden. You're good now.
I don't know if it's letting me mute Jim.
It's all right. You can keep going.
All right. So how I look at culture in real estate. So when I graduated and came back down here, my whole thing was I want to flip the game on its head. I want to change it up. I want to shake it up. I want to rub against the norm. Hilton Head, there's been agents, there's 1,500 agents on the island, and I knew I had to stand out. I knew I had to shift the culture. I knew I had to look at it at a fresh perspective. And if you are willing to change a bad culture and stick it out, really good things can happen. If you graduate and you go right into an organization with a great culture, you'll know it from being at Clemson University, and that can propel you forward. And it's important to invest in it. I look at a lot of people, a lot of my friends that are out in the world right now and in companies they're not enjoying, doing things they're not liking, making 60, 70, 80,000 a year. And there's nothing wrong with that at all if you love what you're doing and if you're in a culture. But it becomes a problem when you're killing yourself for another $5,000 or $10,000 a year because you're in a culture that pushes you in the wrong direction, doesn't really have its best interest, and you're really just a number. So it's important, when you guys that are actives are looking at what's going on, where you want to work, that the organization you're looking to go into has a good culture. I think it's better to go and work for somebody and make very, very little money with a huge upside and get the experience that you really need compared to jumping in something because of a dollar amount that you don't like that has a bad culture. Number two, and this is a big one for me, is just the importance of relationships in life and business. This is something actives that you really don't fully understand right now, the springboard that Fidel is going to give you. My next slide does a pretty good job of explaining relationships equal wealth. There's some careers where that's not true, but both personally and both from a business standpoint, you need to prioritize relationships in your life. You need to immerse yourself in building these relationships, and especially for people that are in sales or going into sales, you need to be genuine. You need to be authentic because that's what relationships are built on. Moving forward, you need to relentlessly build your network. This is something that, as I get into the real estate here a little bit later, that really propelled me. I'm always looking for that conversation with the right person that can take me to the next level. I'm throwing myself at it. I'm in the middle of it. I'm around it. I'm sniffing out the deal. I'm building my network. And it's interesting in real estate specifically because one relationship, one conversation can lead to a $50,000 paycheck. And if you're not spreading your web as far as you can, you're leaving stuff on the table. And I'm a big believer in whatever you do, you always got to be looking for the conversation with the right person that can take you to the next level. One conversation can change your life, and I'm a proof of it. So I'll kind of get into how I got into real estate and all that stuff here a little bit later. But, it's so important to value these relationships long-term. Relationships equal wealth, and both on a personal and on a business level. The more relationships you build in business, the more money you're going to make. The more relationships you build in your personal life, the more happy you're going to be.
I like that. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Salt and use yourself. I got you. I already said this one. And I'm a relationship machine. I look at myself as a connection monster. I attribute that to how far I come, whatever it takes to level up. Savor your friendships, but don't close your circle, right? Surround yourself with goal-oriented people. If you hang out with 5 people, you're the 6th one, you're going to become exactly who they are. And again, find outs that are actives, you're in a great head start to really kind of figuring out which direction you want to go with the people you're sitting next to right now. All right, my number 3 is hunger and momentum. This is something that hunger is the most important differentiator in the path to success. I sat through a Tony Robbins conference and he said that, and that was something that really, really resonated with me. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the most educated. You don't have to be the richest, but if you have the most amount of drive, you will surpass people in your field. And when you stay hungry, you're winning to become, what did I say? Stay hungry when you're winning, and try to be grateful in the moment. This is something I'll get into here in a second. But ultimately, there's always more, right? So it's kind of that happy balance between staying hungry and being satisfied. How hunger shaped my life in general, I think I was blessed to have this drive that's within me. So at Clemson, my hunger was the fraternity life. My hunger was making sure that my buddies had a good time, that we were top house, that I did everything that I could to throw the most badass party, to make sure when I was vice president that we stayed out of trouble, and that everybody internally was just experiencing the fraternity life to the best as possible. And in real estate, it's something that really, really, I wanted it more than anybody else. I still want it more than anybody else. And moving forward, I stay hungry, right? There's always the next level. I'm satisfied where I'm at. I'm blessed. I'm happy. I'm living in the moment. But there's always that level of hunger that has been driven within me. And once, you start to get things rolling, younger guys in your career, people that are making a career shift, you need to utilize momentum on top of your hunger, right? So like right now for me, I found out earlier this week that I got 30 under 30 Realtor, National Association of Realtors, huge stepping stone. I'm getting calls and stuff to come out and do podcasts and all this. And I'm looking at this as, this is my next step in the right direction, right? It's my momentum. I like the analogy of the snowball effect, especially for me in real estate. Nothing happens overnight. You have to be patient. Nothing good happens overnight. And the more you're at it, the more you stay hungry, the more you continue that momentum, the more people that you spread your net around, the bigger the snowball gets. And then all of a sudden, you have so many clients under your belt, you got a book of business, and you're just rolling, and that snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're like, turn around, how did I get here? Oh yeah, I didn't stop. I didn't break momentum. If you break momentum, it can set you back, it can restart you. Number 4, perspective and mindset and how it changes your chance for success. This is a big one. There's always 2 ways to look at something, right? Everybody has a different perspective. Sometimes it's hard to see that on the front end of business, in a negotiation, in the classroom, but it's always important, to really understand that people are looking at situations, at life in 2 different ways, 2 different realities. People overestimate what you can accomplish in 1 year, but underestimate what you can accomplish in 5 years. And if you don't think you can do something that you really want to do, it's time to change your perspective on it. It's time to have a different approach. It's time to look at it differently, attack it differently, and you're going to get a different outcome. And again, yes, 5 years of hard work. You can get 5 years ahead of everybody else with 6 months of hard work. And I'll get into that kind of with what happened with me personally when COVID happened, but you need to stop blaming other people, put your head down and work. Nobody cares until you're quote unquote successful. There's a lot of things that I did and nobody, was really cool, looked right over me. Nobody cares until you're successful. Put your head down and get it done. No one's going to promote you either. So you need to promote yourself, whatever you're doing. If you're, working for yourself, if you're in sales, you're always leveling up, whatever you're doing, even if you're at a job or a class you don't like, it's getting you 1 step closer to where you're supposed to be. But you need to promote yourself. You guys might see my stuff on Instagram or LinkedIn, and that stuff's gotten me deals. It's crazy. So you need to put yourself out there. Mindset of abundance. This is a big one. There's limitless opportunities. Life is all about your mindset, right? And which way choices you take will direct you in the way you're going to go. So there's either not enough of something or there's plenty of opportunity out there. Both are right. It's just the way you look at it. You need to have that mindset of abundance. You need to make sure that, at least for me, there's plenty of opportunity out there. There's opportunity everywhere I look, and I'm always looking for it. And that's what led to some of my success. On top of that, growth mindset, right? Every day I look to get better at one little thing. You never be afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody. It can bring you a step closer to what you want. Literally, they're only one phone call away, and people still forget about that today. It's crazy. I mean, I picked up the phone and got a hold of some super top-notch people. Like, how'd you get a hold of me? Because I picked up the phone and I found the right number and I got you. And now you're talking to me and I'm getting done what I want to get done. Don't be afraid to ask for help either. Especially actives that are getting started. You need help. And this is something that really, really has propelled me. Is I invested massively in myself, and I still do to this day. I've got real estate coaches. I've got life coaches. I'm part of masterminds groups. I'm always looking to surround myself with people that are above me so I can bring myself up to that level. So you have to invest in yourself. Super, super, super important. And, for an example, I'm young. I mean, average age on Hilton Head's 50. I'm selling $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million homes to people that are a lot older than me, right? But I chose to look at that in a different light, and I've used it as a pro. And now it's to the point where people don't want to be working with 60-year-old realtors on the island anymore. They want to work with the guy that's tech savvy, knows what he's doing, that's aggressive, that gets the deal done. And it's been a huge pro to me. Same time, nobody's perfect. I'm working on this myself too every day. And it was interesting. I want to tell a story of I had a younger fight out call me that graduated a year or two ago. And, he looked up to me like I was some sort of hero, right? And that day I was kind of going through some things as business and stuff, and got to work harder. I got to keep going. I'm not where I want to be, and it really just kind of reminded me that, you never really know where you are until you look around. And sometimes you need to look around and be appreciative for how far you've come. So perspective's everything. You could think you're on the top of the world while someone else thinks you're at the bottom, and vice versa. I think this is a big one, gratitude and core values. Again, I'm grateful for my God-given gift that I have. Motivations and core values, especially the motivations, you need to acknowledge and reflect on what you have, and you cannot take things for granted. And those motivations and core values need to align both with your business and your life. This is something that I've held very close to myself throughout the last few years. And it is something that I can proudly say, I'm a man of character. My business is a man of character. I do the right thing when nobody's looking. And it has served me in my favor 100%. There's times where I could have done some things that, weren't illegal, but weren't the right thing to do. And I didn't. And that's just who I am, and that's who I align with. So that's important as well. And next, talking about mindset and everything, kind of shifting into more of the real estate stuff, is COVID and the mindset shift, right? So during COVID, everybody shut down, right? It was a big old fat excuse to not go to work, to not do anything. Oh, I'm off. Well, me, I work for myself. I don't get a paycheck. I'm 100% commission. I live in South Carolina. We didn't shut everything down. I went to the office every single day for COVID, and I worked harder than I've almost ever worked. And during that time period, in those year and a half, I probably got 5-7 years ahead of everybody else that was sitting on their sofa waiting for the government to tell them that they could go back to work. Right. So the mindset is so, so, so important. And even another step with COVID relating to real estate and Hilton Head is when COVID hit, there was a huge mindset change. People didn't like where they lived, they moved. If people didn't like their spouse, they got divorced. If people didn't like their job, they quit, right? It shook the whole world up. And where I live down here in Hilton Head, being a lifestyle location, everybody wanted to go to these lifestyle locations. And it absolutely blew our market out of the water. We're talking 100% appreciation in 2 years. Sold a house for $700 grand. 9 months later, it was 1.5 million, right? We had 50 oceanfront houses sell in May of 2020. That was more than all of 2019 and 2018 combined. What was it? It was everybody in New York, everybody in Massachusetts or wherever saying, I've got the cash, I can get the heck out, I'm going. And everything else trickled down from there. So it was also timing for me. I think timing is a big thing. I kind of got established and in the game prior to COVID happening, which was really exploded everything down here. All right, number 5, and this kind of talks about real estate too, is finding your vehicle and real estate. So real estate is my vehicle. When I say vehicle, what is your spaceship that quote unquote is taking you to the moon, right? How are you getting there? There's different types of sales. There's, whether you're a doctor or whatever, but for me, it's real estate and I'm really passionate about it. And when you younger guys are looking to, find this quote unquote vehicle, the key is to find something that you love more than almost anything else and makes you happy. And you can see yourself doing it for the rest of your life. What lights you up, right? That's the answer to the question. What's something that, I could run through a wall every morning before I get into wherever I'm going. And when I'm on the phone with a client closing a deal, I'm on the moon. I feel like I don't even know, right? But I know it's my vehicle because that. And, maybe you say, oh, I'm not that good at that. But if you love it that much, you can become great at it. But you got to remember, nothing good happens overnight. Patience is so, so, so important. So my first year in real estate, I really, made no money. I lived with my parents. Thank God they lived down here at the time, or I'd have to figure something else out. I was going to go to Charleston. I was going to try to do commercial real estate there. Thank God I didn't do that. But I was patient. It was hard for me because I'm an impatient person. But before you know it, that snowball starts to roll. I'm spreading my web with all of my relationships. I'm doing the right thing. I'm committed 100%, all that good stuff. Commit 100%, right? That's the other thing. That's the biggest thing that I can say I did too. I have a lot of people that talk to me down here, Brandon, how'd you do it? I want to get into real estate. I want to do this and I want to do that. But I only want to work, I want to do my other job. It doesn't work that way. Anything that you want to get excellent at, that you want to become super successful, not saying that I'm there yet either, because I got a long way to go, but you have to commit 100%. And it's funny. It was like, I made almost no money the first year. Second year, it's a lot. I'm like, okay, third year, I'm like, holy shit. Right. And so on. But if I didn't commit 100%, I never would have been in this position. Your vehicle, you love it, right? Delegate everything else. That's one of the biggest things for me that was hard, was letting go on certain things. And delegating stuff is so important because you can focus on what you're good at, what your passion is. And don't be afraid to pivot, to be fluid. The puck's always moving. The goal is to stay ahead of it, right? So in any industry and any career path and any major, right, it's okay to pivot. It's okay to be fluid and just be honest with yourself. This might not be right for me. I'm going to go in that direction. I already went a little bit first year in real estate. So I wound up interning for a broker here on Hilton Head while I was still in college. So when I was at Clemson, I spent all my summers down on the island. I was a jet ski tour guide for 2 summers. And then I got into real estate because I thought I needed to get something on my resume. Long story short, I got my real estate license. My broker paid for it. I was at school one day and my uncle wanted to buy a condo, used my broker because I was still in Clemson. Before you know it, I had a $6,000 check. I'm like, holy shit, I'm rich, right? In college, it was crazy. But it was not as easy as everybody thinks. So what sets me apart? I mean, there's so many things that I think I do better than other people and things that I know I'm weaker than, and I'm the first one to admit it. But the things that I think elevate me is my energy. First and foremost, I'm ready, like I said earlier, I'm ready to run through a damn wall when I wake up in the morning. I've got a million things running through my head. I am psyched to get into what I'm doing. And that's what you guys, younger guys, should be looking for, when you're starting work. If you're not that excited about something, it might be time to pivot. And find a characteristic that sets you apart, right? And understand that characteristic and use it in your favor. Something I did with my energy. My customer service, that's something I'm really big at. Coming back to that snowball effect, right? Growing and growing. Start treating people right. You start doing the right thing. You start going above and beyond, providing the highest level of customer service. I'm not going to lie, customer service, high-end customer service, it's rare today. That's something that I'm very passionate about. Again, 100%, 110% commitment to the game. Forever getting better each day. The this is a lost art, in my opinion, is picking up the phone and prospecting. Guys that you're in sales, you'll understand this. I do it every single day. I do it every single day for till noon. Till the time I get in the office till noon. I'm building relationships, spreading my web. I'm rolling that snowball. I'm adding value to anybody that I can, regardless if they're ready to be a client right now. And I'm also looking to solve problems, right? You know, maybe, I can connect you with the right person. Somebody might call me back in a year and say, hey, remember when you sent me that number? I sure do. And there you go. Deal. Do the hard things. No one's going to outwork me. And that's the mentality that you need to have. Create raving fans, something that I think I'm good at. But I don't think everybody kind of goes into a transaction or a deal or a day at the office trying to create raving fans. And don't be afraid to fail. No one, every no gets you one step closer to a yes. This is something a coach taught me, and it was a great mindset thing as far as I don't like getting no's. Well, it's getting you one step closer to yes. Get a no and keep moving on and learn from it. So my niche down here on Hilton Head, I specialize in short-term rental investments and luxury property. I'll kind of get into that a little bit more here in a second, but with the investment properties, I'm an avid investor myself. I've got 5 properties that I'm about to run through right now. So it allows me to walk in the shoes of my clients. I know what they're looking for. I know the returns that they want to meet. I know the appreciation that potential with a certain buy. So I've really dug a niche in the short-term rental investments, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. So my investment philosophy, and this is probably why I won 30 under 30, because I got the amount of, I niched down, right? I went deeper rather than wider. And I got a lot of business. I made a lot of money from selling these investment short-term rentals. I'm a big long-term game guy, right? Buy real estate. Younger guys, buy real estate. That is one of the biggest piece of advice I can get you as you're starting to grow your career. Do it young. Buy and hold. Don't flip. When you flip property, you can deal with taxes. When you hold property, there's so many benefits that I'll talk about here in a second that are long-term. Passive income is my personal goal, right? You know, X amount of years from now, I want to be sitting on a boat somewhere, and I want a lot of money coming through in investments on a monthly basis. And some personal properties that I've done, I've been big on the value add, right? Repurposing, value add, not only on, swinging the hammer, but how can I increase rentals? Every property is a separate business. Every business has a cap rate. So when you're looking at a property, how can I increase that cap rate? You can increase the revenue on the front end, right? So there's certain things that I do down here that blow other forms of renting these properties out of the water, talking about numbers, gross revenue wise. And it all happens in scale, right? When you start to scale, that's where it really gets good in real estate. Again, my market, I talked about it a little bit, but majority second home lifestyle properties and short-term rental investments. Hilton Head Island, I'm sure you guys are all familiar. Gorgeous, beautiful area. Give me a call if you want to talk real estate on Hilton Head. One Laurel, these are some of my properties. So this is One Laurel Lane. This is a 5th row house on South Forest Beach. Bought it as a 4.3. This is actually a good story. Bought it as a 4.3 for $850 with a partner. Put $400,000 into it, added 2 bedrooms, added a full bath, dropped a pool in, added some additional seating space on the big porch upstairs. It got reappraised for $2.7 million. So we caught the swing a little bit as well. But what we did was we pulled our cash out, even though it was at a higher rate. We got our initial investment back, and then we used $250,000 down on a different property. I'll go back on this one, oceanfront 6-bedroom on 152 Avenue. We bought this house, no money out of pocket from the money of that first property, right? This is a 6-bedroom on Defusky. Oceanfront, that same property across the water on Hilton Head is about 7-8 million. We got this for $1 million, and it will be 2 or 3 million probably in 5 years or less. There's a huge group that's developing the neighborhood right now and bringing it back from 2008. And that's Melrose. This is where I live right now in Harbor Town. It's a 1-bedroom. I gutted it, bought it for $330. It's probably worth $650, $700 now. And I could probably do $50,000 or $60,000 a year in positive cash flow from renting this thing out. So I'm trying to get out of here and buy something else, but I just love living down here. And then I've got a triplex in Bluffton, South Carolina. This is a long-term rent. There was a crackhead living in the main house. We got it at a discount, renovating it, and we'll be on the long-term rental market here shortly. And then this is the last one. This is a family project. So my family lives down here, and it's a commercial conversion place. So it's right down by the Sea Pine Circle, old bank building we bought for $2 million. And I had some relationships going back to the web and building relationships with the housing director for Sea Pines, and signed a 3-year lease for 48 heads and beds at, I think it's like $40,000 a month in rent, starting in March of 2024. So we closed on that about a week or two ago, and we are working on that too. So while I am a realtor and I love selling properties and making deals, my true passion, and where I'm really going to build wealth and real estate, wherever you're making money in life, take a chunk of that, younger guys, put it into real estate, diversify, but buy real estate long-term. That's the way to do it. Power of rezoning and use of change, like that bank building. We're going to make a lot of money on that refi when we're done with it, just from converting it. Yes, it's a major redevelopment, but at the same time, when you rezone a property, when you change the use of it, there's exponential amount of value you can add to the property. And these short-term rentals, why they're so hot down here, why people love them: cash flow, more money coming in than out on a monthly basis, mortgage pay down, heavy appreciation. Hilton has a limited supply commodity, and there's a crap load of people that are trying to buy here. Tax benefits, but the most important thing for short-term rentals is personal use. So you can enjoy all of the benefits of real estate, and then you can come down here with your family, with your friends, use your property. Best properties are rented 300 nights a year. So you're getting 60 nights of use for free. And that's why I have the picture of the cake, right? Each one is okay, but when you put them together like layers of a cake, it gets damn good. And that's why they're such a hot commodity. Some future plans of mine: real estate empire, open a brokerage that incorporates some sort of development aspect to it as well. Resort development. I'm on my way to $1 billion. Call me crazy, but I'm shooting for the moon, right? On my vehicle. And then you can find me on a yacht someday. So in conclusion, culture, don't be afraid to shift the standard. Relationships, it can be slow, but it is the best way that you can build wealth and happiness. Perspective and mindset will significantly alter the way your future looks. If you're not happy with where you are right now, if you're not happy with the direction you're going or the job you have, change your mindset. Hunger, it's the most driving factor for success. Once you get rolling, use momentum to keep it going, and then find your vehicle and commit 100%. That is all I have, guys. Again, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening. And I invite any questions you guys have, and encourage you to reach out, connect on social media, all that good stuff. Shoot me an email, give me a call. I can share my number, and happy to add value to anybody, younger guys, older guys, or just want to shoot the shit. I'm happy to do it, guys. But I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Brandon, well done. Well done. Very enjoyable and very impressive, by the way. So guys, I'm going to open it up to questions. I've got a few myself, but I don't want to lead the charge. But Brandon, very impressed. Good job. Maybe you could share your website in the chat. That might be a good thing for everybody to have.
Yeah.
Matt, you unmuted. Did you have a question or chapter?
Yeah, can you hear us in here?
Yeah.
All right. I kind of have two questions. So the first one would be when you were first investing in properties, how did you get into that, and how did you make sure that you had enough capital to first start off in investing in properties? And then the second one would be, for your real estate company that you're running right now, are you doing that yourself, or do you have employees under you? What does that look like?
Yeah, so house hacking 101, FHA loans, you can put 3% down on a primary residence, right? So this is a short-term rental property here. I bought with 3% down because it was my first primary. 3%, you can scrape 3% together, right? Live in it, fix it up, or just hold on to it. If it's going to be a good short-term rental, then go buy something else. You're still holding this same property with the same mortgage that you bought on that FHA loan. And then all of a sudden, if you can add equity to it, right? You can start renting it out. You start, you do some renovations, then you refi it and it's worth more. So it's all about your first buy. You just got to get started, and you only need 3%. Or after that, you can put as minimum of 5% down on personals. Keep buying a personal property, because when you buy a quote unquote investment property, then you're putting 20, 25% down, and it's a lot harder to do that. In regards to the real estate brokerage question, so if you are practicing real estate in South Carolina, you need to be a agent under a broker. You need to have your license hung. So you're still technically 100% independent contractor. So throughout that process of getting started, my broker was involved. It was an open door mentality, but I'm not going to lie, he didn't train me as much as maybe I would have wanted. But looking back on it, I think it's in my favor because I kind of taught myself and always had that open door to go to. So I'm a little unorthodox in my sales and the way I look at things, but the way that works is if you're the broker in charge, you have a split with every agent under you. So like I give my broker 15% of all of the commissions that I make because he holds the insurance, the liability, all that kind of stuff. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Who's next? Any other questions? We're all just enamored in our 50s, Brandon, and wishing we did
Yeah.
this in 20.
Especially the part about buying real estate young. I mean, that's a big plus, I think. I wish I had done that when I was younger, but great job.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And don't sell it, right? Hold it.
So, hey, Brandon, what is your, so right now the market's quote falling, right? It's not exactly the hottest market because interest rates are rising. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, is the market falling? I mean, you're in Hilton Head, so it might be a little different. It's more luxury and certainly you have an influence of other people coming down to buy properties. But what's the interest rate situation doing to your market? Is it increasing rentals? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah. Every market's different, right? Hilton Head is not a normal market. This is a limited supply commodity. You don't have to be here. You're here because you want to be here, right? So compared to other markets, prices are still going up, in my opinion, or holding steady. We did see it in the beginning of the year, or maybe the first month or two. It's a little bit of a slowdown. Biggest thing that I'm seeing is an inventory pinch in the aspect. You got a lot of people sitting on properties, investment properties, primary residents that want to go and upgrade, right? And they're sitting on a 2.5 to 3% rate. And now the rates are 6, 7, right? So they're not, I got a guy that I'd have a $2.5 million listing. He'd go buy a $3.5 million house. He's got the money, but he can't swallow that interest rate because he's proud of it. And what that's doing is that's suppressing inventory on the market, coming back to supply and demand. So now we have low inventory and we still have this high demand here in Hilton Head, right? And other art markets might be different. So it's keeping it steady. To be honest, it's not doing anything besides pinching inventory and the demand staying steady. Because I mean, all these lenders right now, they know that all these loans that are getting written are going to be refied in 2 to 3 years, right? You got to look big picture. Don't not buy a property that fits what you're looking for because of the interest rate when you can refi it in the future.
Cool. I've got one last question. I promise I will be, but
no, you guys are good.
I've been in sales just about my entire career, at least sales leadership, right? And I've always, used the term, God bless me with a ton of talent, but very little patience. And I saw you had a slide on patience. And this is probably for the guys in the chapter room, but it affects people like myself. Doug and I were texting back and forth about real estate investments a little while ago. Patience is key, right? So what are your true thoughts on patience as it relates to real estate?
Yeah, I struggled with it, to be honest with you. I knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and I told myself I committed 110%. And then with the patience piece of it, you just younger guys, you just got to realize that you want to come out of college, you want to start making a bunch of money, it doesn't happen like that. Nothing good is built overnight. And if you want to build something successful, you need to embrace the fact that it's going to take some time. And you'll start to get some tastes of it, right? Like, oh, wow. Oh my God, I can't believe I just sold that, right? Or I can't believe I just made that right deal. So for me, it was just putting everything in perspective and knowing where I was going and being confident in it. But I did struggle with it, right? I mean, there were times where I was like, man, this sucks, right? It's just like, it's slow. But kind of once COVID hit and I was in the game for 1.5 years at that point, and I probably had 10 sales under my belt, it just took off. I sold a $4.2 million house. And then I was like, shit, I can do anything, right? And then my confidence started to build and then my momentum kept rolling. And, it's kind of just waiting for that first hitting that lick, right? And then it's, but it's tough. I struggled with it. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that's what I got.
Yeah, and the last question from me is really, we hear about the impact of social media. And I was kind of really glad to hear you say cold calling is still kind of the device, but you built a network, Brandon, right? And I saw what you're involved in, which is impressive. That's a commitment to be involved in these extracurricular activities and being part of that group. But you're a young guy, right? So I guess the question is, how do you basically gain your clients, right? How do they gain trust in you that quick, right? And how do you get them to come to you versus others?
Well, I think gaining trust, I'm an expert in my field, right? And because I eat, bread, slept his stuff for the last 5 years, right? Again, patience, nothing happens overnight. I am the best short-term rental specialist in Beaufort County, hands down. I'm confident in my ability. So when I get on the phone with people and I have these investment properties where I've put in certain systems in place that's blowing other systems out of the water. Like, for example, my rentals that I have now on one property, we're going to do 30 or 40% more than a rental projection because of local connections and leveraging technology. I just confident in my abilities. And I think when you chip away on your craft long enough, then, people will gain your trust by just talking to you. But it doesn't happen overnight, right? That's the whole patience thing as far as, getting in your head. Like, I don't know, do I know what I'm doing? I think I remember telling myself, I'm going to fake it till I make it, right? as cliche as that sounds, you almost just got to walk the walk and try to talk the talk the best you can until you really start to gain that experience. And then you become an expert, not an expert, but you know what the heck you're doing. And back to the cold calling stuff. I mean, yes, I absolutely utilize social media. I'm investing some more money in social media right now. But there's no better way to build a genuine relationship than picking up the phone. I wouldn't necessarily say I do cold calls. I do cold call people sometimes, and I've gotten some pretty big deals out of it, but they're always warm calls or like lukewarm, right? So, and I'm building that trust. I'm adding value to them in every single conversation that I have would probably be my answer.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep.
My questions are done. Doug,
Cool.
you got something?
Yeah, Brandon, thank you so much for this. Has been incredible, and you covered so much stuff. It's really neat to be able to pick little things here and there on certain slides, and I'm sure it'll hit everybody a little differently. I wanted to go back to what you said about being 100% committed and being self-taught and really kind of a student of the game. And just curious, what are some of the resources, thought leaders, people, experts you turned to when you were learning the real estate game? When you were getting started?
So I would say my broker, even though he wasn't as hands-on in the sales aspect of things, he was definitely a resource. I mean, he would sit down with me 4 or 5 days a week, just kind of start going through some stuff. And actually the coach I use now, the real estate coach, is somebody he used to work with, and he's been unbelievable just to lean on. So while it's been a little unorthodox with the sales, I have had my broker in charge. I have had coaches throughout, but in the early stages, I was figuring this stuff out on my own, right? I was YouTubing stuff. I was, I did some sales certification class because I felt like I needed to sharpen my sales skills, which absolutely did nothing. But, the reality of sharpening your sales skills is picking up the phone, right? And talking to people. So I think I just when I say committed 110%, I really said, I'm not going to allow myself to fail and not give 110%, right? If I'm going to fail, it's going to be because I'm giving it 110% and this isn't my vehicle. And then I'll move on to something else. But I almost didn't make it an option, to be honest with you. And if it came 5 years and I wasn't doing it, or 4, I probably would have changed courses. I was lucky where my parents just built a house down here, moved down here almost simultaneous to when I graduated, and I had them, to stay with and to live in. But I started being 100% commission based. And if you're not committed, going straight out of college with little to no real work experience, and you're not committed to it, you don't have a chance being 100% committed or 100% commission, right?
Yeah. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, what's up, PG? I got a quick question for you. I'm curious to know, is there a certain agency like certification that you had to go through? I'm assuming there's an exam or something that you had to take, and if there was, what agency was that or certification was that, and roughly how long did that take you to study for it?
Yeah, so it's actually one of the easiest certifications to get. I mean, the test is hard, but it's 90 hours in a class and it's state to state, right? So you need to get past your state test, then you need to pass the national test. Every state runs the testing and the certifications, and real estate in general completely differently. Like South Carolina is so relaxed. You go to the line to North Carolina, it's like Nazi Germany selling real estate. It's brutal, right? But 90 hours and then 2 tests to answer your question.
Cool, thank you.
Yep.
I actually got a question for you. So in terms of the timeline after college for getting kickstarted and putting down that 3%, like I feel like the average college student definitely, like for myself, I'm probably not gonna have access to any capital to be investing right after college. I want to be kickstarting, like starting slow. So what was your timetable in terms of like starting to invest?
So I graduated in December 2018, and I bought this place in July 2020, right? So I had a few deals, right? And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. When you really look at 3% of, whatever, you guys are engineers, you're Clemson grads, you guys are going to be making money coming out of school, right? Rather than you're going to have to rent it first, right? Probably rent, but put a savings account in. I think the first investment you guys should make is a primary residence. Even if you don't even live there, right? Maybe some people won't like that in the mortgage world, but at the same time, it's all about intention. So if you go and you buy a primary residence, you move in for 1 month and something happens and you move out, and it's no longer your primary, but it's still on your same terms. I would just say, give yourself a year and a half. That is a huge Kickstarter, even if you just go and you live in it, right? Because what happens in real estate for the younger guys is you buy a property at X amount, finite supply. Over time, property is going to appreciate, right? It's going to go up and down. It's going to go up and down, but you're going to be paying down your mortgage while the value of the property long-term goes up. What happens long-term? The delta gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Your equity gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you can utilize that equity in your house, like I did with that one property to buy that oceanfront house, by just having enough equity in it and pulling the cash out of it, right? So it's a starting point, and you have to start. I mean, I know people that bought a house that they didn't think they were even going to buy, and they didn't think they could afford, and they're up 200 grand on it, and they sold it, and now they're just like, oh, I got my 200 grand. I'm doing nothing. Like, what are you doing, man? Go buy another one. Scale. It all happens in scale, but you got to start somewhere. I mean, whenever's comfortable for you, I think, to answer your question, but I would highly recommend doing it sooner than later. And just so you guys know, on a national scale right now, we're about 6 or 7 million homes behind the demand that we have in the United States. Millennials, people are living longer. Millennials are buying homes. We do not have enough homes in the United States. Prices aren't going anywhere until we build more homes. Supply and demand is the most important factor when it comes to value. So don't be afraid you're going to buy something and the market's going to crash. It's not. I promise. If it does, give me my address and you can come find me.
And that primary residence, and when you refinance into that oceanfront property, are those tax write-offs, I assume?
Yeah. Well, tax write-offs are funny because you still gotta buy it, right? No, they're not necessary. So again, you look at each property as a business, right? So in a business, you don't write off the business just for buying the business. You write off the expenses associated with owning the business. So for example, yes, any expense of owning the real estate, you can write it off. It's an investment property. So yeah, you write it off. You don't write off, the acquisition, and at least I don't think you do, but all the expenses associated with it, you can write it off. But at the end of the day, everybody loves write-offs. Don't get me wrong. And this is something important with real estate investing, is the more you write off, the less income you're going to show, right? So when you go to the bank to buy more real estate, if you've written everything off and on paper, you're not paying any taxes because you make $0 in the IRS eyes, you're not going to be able to get it qualified for a property, right? You have no income on paper. So you need to show some income by not writing everything off. So it's a happy balance, right?
All right, thank you very much. That's all the questions I got.
Cool, man.
Anybody else? Last call. We got 5 minutes left.
Dan's got his hand up.
Dan Bradley.
Looks like it.
No, I don't. Sorry.
Oh,
Yo,
He just,
PG,
he
I
just
got one for
unmuted,
you, man.
he unmuted Brandon because he didn't like the tax question. He's an accountant.
Don't ask me about taxes. No.
I love me some cost segregation analysis, though. I'll tell you that much.
Sorry,
It's all
Chris.
about basis.
Chris, I apologize. You're up, man.
No, you're good, man. BG, so I want to applaud you on the conversation tonight first, and also you were social chair when we were roommates, so good job there, like you were mentioning. But yeah, man, my question is just kind of as an entrepreneur, right? You're involved with real estate investment, you do some stuff with the chamber, you're obviously doing some speaking. Like, how do you structure your day, and what kind of just general advice do you have just from a time management perspective, just so that everyone on the call can maybe learn how to best utilize their days?
Yeah, I don't drink during the weekdays. First, for you actives, right? That's a big culture change when you get into the real world, because when you start drinking, you're not as sharp. You can't get up as early. So I wake up every morning and I've got so much crap going on my phone. I mean, it's unbelievable how much my phone blows up. I write down the 5 most important things I need to get done every day, right? That goes at the top of my list. I try to get them done as soon as I can. And then once I time block as well, right? So like, what's the most important activity that leads to you making money? For me, it's prospecting, right? And looking for deals. So I'll have my top 5 things I need to do. And then I'll have, my essential quote unquote activities. And sometimes you can't get it all done, but I don't know. I'm probably somebody that is a little less organized than other people. It's just the way my mind works, but I get it on my calendar. I'm really, 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 really good. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist in my mind. And if it's on my calendar, it's getting done. So in the real estate world, it's tough because there's so many moving pieces, different deals, different stages, different conversations, different properties, different right? So I have a database where I organize a lot of my thoughts, a lot of my contacts, my relationships. To answer your question, to be honest, the biggest thing that's helped me is hiring an assistant. That just takes care of all that stuff, right? Because I'm good at people, I'm good at talking, I'm good at closing deals, finding opportunities. I'm not good at the nitty gritty. So not everybody's going to have a personal assistant or an assistant in general, but I think just leverage your resources, right? And get done what you have to get done and prioritize those things that are important.
Jeff, I heard we were doing things wrong because we're both drinking tonight. So
I am.
It's the week.
I'm on my 3rd beer, Brandon. So
And I'll tell you
that's
what,
an after 50 thing when we stop caring.
that's probably what it is. Probably what it is. But I'll
I've been
get
doing this since I was your
absolutely
age.
slammer jammer Friday and sometimes Saturday. So I make up for it.
Well, guys, Brandon, I'm probably the only one unmuted, but thank you, man. I've always been impressed with you back in your late teens at college. So, man, so thankful for you to do this, but proud of you for your success, man, and well deserved. You've earned every bit of it. So, just my 2 cents there to close us out. Our next speaker, we do not have a date on. I'll work with Matt and Will and the gang about where we're going to go on the next speaker, but it's going to be Keith Eads. And Keith Eads is bond number 140. I know it sounds like a long time ago, but let's think about it. On this call, what are we up to, guys, in the active room? What's our highest bond number now? 1,400?
No, I think we're at we're hitting 1,200. Right? Yeah.
All right, so let's say high 1,200s to bond number 11. We're on this call. That's pretty freaking cool. So, Brandon, that's out of respect to you. But Keith Eads, bond number 140. Keith is the author of Strategic Selling. Okay, so he is a rock star. The dude has done very well for himself. He was in Charlotte, wrote Strategic Selling, built an entire platform around teaching that model around the nation to sales organizations. And I know as young people, you hear the word sales and you think vacuum cleaners, you think cars, you think all this stuff. What Brandon's doing is sales. What I do in software is sales, and technology is sales. What Doug Stewart's doing in engineering is sales. So everyone on this call has some sales in their influence. You listen to Keith. Keith's going to have a lot of energy. He is going to talk about the model, but he also is the guy. If any of you are from Greer or have been to Greer, he is the one that's personally responsible for rebuilding Greer into a kind of wannabe place. and that's his hometown, and that's kind of his new project. I wish he was on here, Brandon, because I really look forward to connecting the two of you. I think you two have a lot to share. I'm going to say last call for questions, and I will close out, and I will send this recording out to the group. Anybody, by the way, orange and white game, tailgate in lot 2, sponsored by the Alumni Association. We cannot sponsor beer, gang. So it is the weekend, Brandon, so we're allowed to have some, but but it's BYOB, and Brandon just shared his website, so y'all take that. But that's on Saturday before the orange and white game. Will be in lot 2, right, Doug? And depending on the crowd, we're going to have shrimp and grits, some chicken biscuits. You got to bring your own beer and that kind of stuff. We might have some mimosas, Bloody Marys, and all that. But everyone's certainly welcome to stop by. All right, Brandon, thank you again, my man. Always
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
Jeff, if you want to include my phone number or email in the email with the recording, anybody that wants to reach out, active, if you're interested in talking about real estate and figuring some things out, I'm happy to talk with you, and Alumni, happy to network. So appreciate the time, and have a good night, guys. Thanks, Jeff.